The number 1 overall draft pick is possibly the most valuable thing in all of pro sports, but in the NBA, it's on a completely different level. We have gotten to a point where teams are trying to lose games on purpose just so they can have a better shot at getting the number 1 pick in the draft. Over the years, there have been many number 1 picks in NBA history. Some of them had extremely successful careers, while others were a disaster. These are the last 10 number 1 overall picks in the NBA draft and what actually happened to them ever since they got drafted. In the 2025 NBA draft, the Dallas Mavericks selected an 18-year-old Cooper Flagg with the first pick in the draft, despite recently trading their superstar Luka Doncic in one of the worst trades we've ever seen. Thankfully, Cooper Flagg would make up for all of that, since before getting drafted, Cooper was one of the most hyped up prospects in recent years, being compared to LeBron James in high school and was the best collegiate player in the NCAA. And despite only playing 1 season so far in his NBA career, Cooper Flagg looks like he's been playing in the league for years. He's already broken multiple historic records, including becoming the youngest player to score 50 plus points in a game and has the most 40-point games as a teenager. I think he'll go down as one of the greatest players of all time when it's all said and done, and I know some of you probably think that as well. In the 2024 NBA draft, the Atlanta Hawks had the first overall pick, and with their decision, they chose a 6'8" forward out of France named Zachary Risacher. Before making it to the NBA, Zachary was already a pro basketball player in France for one of its top tier clubs. He played extremely well at such a young age and looked NBA ready. The Hawks drafted him because he was versatile and a good 3-and-D player. In his first season with the Hawks, everyone thought he would perform really well, but that wouldn't be the case, since Risacher only averaged 12 points a game in his rookie season and failed to meet expectations as the number 1 overall pick. In 2026, Zachary has gotten even worse in his second season, averaging just 9 points a game and 64% from the free throw line. Although he's been on a minutes restriction this season, it's not looking good so far for Risacher in his first 2 seasons. I do believe though that he can make a comeback in his career and blossom into a star. Fortunately for the San Antonio Spurs, their number 1 overall pick is already one of the best players in the world, since in 2023, they selected a 7'4" French player named Victor Wembanyama. Victor was arguably the most hyped up prospect in NBA history. Yes, even more hyped up than LeBron James. Victor Wembanyama was a player that nobody had ever seen before. At 7'4", he could shoot threes like Steph Curry, he had guard-like handles, and was able to move his body around extremely quickly. It's almost like he's a different species from another planet. In his first year in the league, Victor was phenomenal. He averaged 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks a game on a minutes restriction. Every time a player saw Victor, they would run back out to the 3-point line knowing that they would get blocked out of the air by him. Wemby won Rookie of the Year pretty easily, and he could have won Defensive Player of the Year as well, but somehow Rudy Gobert won it despite averaging less blocks and less steals than Victor. In his 3rd year, Victor Wembanyama is currently one of the best players in the world and could potentially win his first MVP at just 22 years old, which would make him the youngest MVP winner in NBA history over Derrick Rose. Now, this next player is a guy most people would dream of having. The Orlando Magic chose a 6'10" forward out of Duke named Paolo Banchero. Banchero was undeniably one of the best college players in the NCAA during his time at Duke. He averaged 17 points and 8 rebounds in his 1 year in college. During his rookie season with the Orlando Magic, Paolo played extremely well with the Magic, showing why he was the first overall pick for a reason. He averaged 20 points and 7 rebounds a game while winning Rookie of the Year. In just his 2nd year, he led the Magic to the playoffs, facing the Cavs in the first round. Paolo played his heart out and was the best player in that series, but the Magic would lose in 7 games, ending Banchero's season. And I hate to say this to Magic fans, but currently in just his 4th year in the league, Banchero has gotten quite worse this season. As of 2026, he's averaging way less points than last year, and he shot 7 of 22 in the play-in game versus the Hornets. Although his team is currently in the playoffs versus the Pistons, I'm not sure if he'll perform well or get better as his career comes along. This next player on the list is one of the more underrated number 1 overall picks in recent years, Cade Cunningham. Before getting drafted, Cunningham attended Mount Vernon Academy, creating the best high school basketball team of all time with other future NBA players on the team such as Scotty Barnes and Moses Moody. Cade was the best player on that Mount Vernon team and was also one of the best players in college during his time playing at Oklahoma State. It was pretty clear why the Detroit Pistons took him first overall in the draft. However, in his first season with the Pistons, things weren't too great. He got off to a slow start, shooting the ball very inefficiently and wasn't even averaging 15 points a game. Many people became skeptical and started thinking he was a bust, but eventually Cade got some rhythm and ended the season averaging 17 points and 5 assists a game. Unfortunately, in his second season, Cunningham would be a part of the worst losing streak in sports history. The Pistons would go on to lose 28 straight games, making it the largest losing streak by any pro-American team. However, Cunningham worked on his game and led the Pistons to the playoffs in just his third season despite coming off a tragedy last year. Although they would get bounced in the first round, as of 2026, Cade Cunningham is one of the best players in the NBA, leading the Pistons to the 1 seed in the East and is on track to winning an MVP and championship in his career. In 2020, the NBA was forced to not allow fans to come watch games due to COVID-19. It was an extremely hard time for not just the NBA, but for all of us in general. Fortunately, the 2020 class was rumored to be one of the most loaded classes in recent years, and so with the first overall pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves decided to take a 6'4" guard named Anthony Edwards. Edwards was coming off a 19-point per game season at Georgia, becoming the highest scoring freshman in the NCAA. In his rookie season, he averaged 19 points and 5 rebounds a game while finishing second in Rookie of the Year voting. Now, I kid you not, you cannot tell me that this man is one of the most fun and electric players in the NBA today. The charisma and just being able to resonate with the fans just makes him a player that you would love to watch. At just 24 years old, Anthony Edwards is already a 4-time All-Star, won an Olympic gold medal, was named the 2026 All-Star Game MVP, and will probably win the NBA championship this year or in the upcoming future of his career. Now, in the 2019 draft, this first overall pick was quite possibly the most famous non-NBA player in the country. He completely dominated in high school and iconically destroyed a Nike shoe during his time in college. Zion Williamson was a freak of nature. He was getting comparisons to players like prime Charles Barkley and Blake Griffin. In his first season, Zion averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds a game, but he only played 24 games that season, and that's basically Zion's career. It's quite devastating because he had so much potential, but due to frequent injuries, he rarely suited up in games. Zion has yet to make the playoffs in his 7 seasons in the NBA and is constantly getting made fun of for his weight and injuries. When he does play, Zion performs decently and even dominates sometimes, but that rarely happens. It's so unfortunate that this guy has failed to live up to draft expectations and might be out of the league in a couple years if he continues on this same path. The next player on this list was part of one of the most loaded draft classes of all time. Deandre Ayton was a 7-footer who could dominate in the paint and could hit threes like a shooting guard. Ayton was one of the best college hoopers in the NCAA, and being 7 feet tall, the Suns decided to take him. In his rookie season, Ayton finished 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting and made the Suns better by adding size and versatility to the team. He would be a key part in leading the Suns to the NBA Finals in 2021, but would lose to the Bucks in 6 games. Unfortunately, he hasn't gotten better ever since. Despite getting paid a $133 million contract, Ayton played like he was an average NBA player, nowhere near the performance of a former number 1 pick. He would get traded to the Lakers in 2025 and is currently getting carried by a 41-year-old LeBron James and a prime Luka Doncic, despite saying that he's better than Clint Capella. However, at least Ayton's career is still solid. unlike the first pick in the 2017 draft, Markelle Fultz. In a loaded draft class with Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, and Bam Adebayo, Fultz was selected first by the 76ers because of his versatility and playmaking as a 6'4 guard. He averaged 23, 6, and 6 as a freshman in college and was the Pac-12 leading scorer. In his rookie year with the 76ers, he would become the youngest player at the time to record a triple-double. But that was the only good thing for him that year, since Fultz had a shoulder injury during the season that would derail the rest of his career and make him one of the biggest busts in NBA history. That shoulder injury forced him to rechange his jump shot and completely hurt his performance in the NBA entirely. His agent said that he literally couldn't raise up his arms to shoot the basketball. It's heartbreaking that these things happen to guys with such potential. Most of us thought that this guy would be a superstar, and yet because of one shoulder injury, it completely derailed Fultz's career and eventually out of the league. Now, our last former number 1 pick is the complete opposite. Ben Simmons was a 6'10 forward coming out of LSU, averaging 19 points and 11 rebounds a game. He was getting comparisons to LeBron James and Magic Johnson. Now, if you're getting compared to those kinds of guys, I would say you're the greatest prospect of all time. In Simmons' rookie season, he recorded 12 triple-doubles and won Rookie of the Year. He was good at getting to the rim and being a solid playmaker, but his shooting was atrocious. Now, over the years, Simmons never really improved his game, putting up the same numbers over and over again. And in 2020, his downfall began. In Game 7 of the playoffs versus the Hawks, Ben Simmons refused to shoot a wide-open layup and pass it to his teammate instead. And despite the 76ers trying to meet his every need, he wanted out of Philadelphia. This man was getting paid a contract worth $178 million, and yet he has been in street clothes for the majority of his career, simply because he doesn't want to play. And when he does play, he refuses to shoot the ball and plays like a below-average player. But no matter how good you are at picking talent, it's extremely hard to know if that player will do well in their career, if the choice that you made was the right one, or the one that tears your franchise apart. Let me know in the comments, who would you take with the number 1 overall pick in an all-time draft?